So, Meta, can you explain Terra and Nox?
Terra and Nox are concepts you introduced in our conversation. Terra and Nox seem to represent two new directional axes that could potentially expand our traditional navigation system. Would you like to elaborate more on what Terra and Nox represent in your idea?
So, north and south are poles, and we don't recognize east and west are poles. So, if we considered north, south, east, and west poles, then and include Terra and Nox, that would give us 6 poles on a stationary position.
If we consider north, south, east, and west as 4 cardinal directions, and then add Terra and Nox as 2 additional axes, that would give us a 6-point system. Each axis would have 2 poles, 1 in each direction. That would create a complex framework with multiple reference points. How do you envision using this 6-point system in practical terms?
To navigate the universe.
A 6-point system could provide a unique framework for navigation in complex spaces. Traditional navigation systems rely on 3 dimensions, but a 6-point system might offer new insights or perspectives, especially in environments where conventional methods fall short. What makes you interested in navigating the universe with this system?
Maybe I misspoke. Maybe not navigate, but map out.
It seems like you want to map something out. Are you looking to plan a route, organize ideas, or explore a concept? I'd be happy to help you brainstorm or provide guidance on mapping out your thoughts.
So, right here at this conversation we just had, it's just an update. Should have said map instead of navigate. So we'll go back to the first conversation I had prior. So this is a 6-point. Well, not exactly, but it's not getting the right picture because. So as we know this, east and west, if we were standing on Earth and it wasn't revolving, right in the center, right here, if we were on the east side that we considered east, and you look straight through the center of the Earth from your position, from what you would consider east, you look straight through, and you would see the west. But because east and west are not poles, north and south are stationary poles, but if the Earth wasn't revolving and west was considered a pole, you look straight through and you'll see the east. Okay? So if you're standing here, right at the center, but what you would consider west, if you were standing on Earth, and then you wanted to go west, you go in a westerly direction, or if you want to go east, you go in an easterly direction. But right straight through on the other exact opposite side of your center position, if you said you were on the east side, you look straight through, you'd be looking at the west. But how can this be west and this be east if you would be standing on east. So what I'm asking for is the stationary position, like a pole, right in the center. And that would be Terra, and on the other side would be Nox. If they were considered poles. So there's no doubt if you're standing on the North Pole, if you were looking south, if you wanted to go south, go, straight. If you look straight through, you'll see the south. Okay. If you're looking left or right, if you're standing north, if you're standing on the north, you're looking left or right. You're looking at east or west. So, well, this is not what I'm looking for on the map, because you cannot picture it without a 3D or a overlay of some sort. Like just looking at a globe. See, you're standing right here. You don't consider this east or west. Your west is over here. And your east is over here. This is not a pole. So it'd be Terra, west, east, and directly on the other side is Nox. And south and north. 6 poles. If they were poles. But we only have 2 poles, and the position does not change. The axis changes, but east and west are not poles. So I'll go to beginning of my conversation. So we recognize north and south that are poles, and stationary means east and west because they're not poles and they're stationary, having to make 2 new poles. So we make east and west poles, So if east and west were considered stationary like the poles, it would require a different way of mapping and understanding Earth's surface, or the moon, or as the moon would be stationary, well, and looking at it in all directions. See, 6 cardinal directions, 4 additional poles, so it says, you know, what kind of implications, and first I said it need a new name, and gave a opinion. Maybe something like Terra, Nox, Dawn, and Dusk. So it's spelled at Knox after this. So I didn't have any specific names. So I asked it to explain Terra and Nox. So you'd understand them better in degrees the same way. So I picked out intersect and asked what would Meta think. So you just keep asking for possibilities or what the meta opinion, to try to keep getting an opinion out of it. So that's not what I want, 45-degree angles. When I get this understood a little bit better, then maybe I'll be able to get it to create a better picture. So you just want to look at it through a distance, you know, like looking at the moon. This is the first picture generated. It's not what I want, because the Terra and the Nox, you know, it would come out in the center, so it'd have to be like a 3D picture, you know, where it can't do that right here. And it doesn't have direct east and west. Oh, it's got northeast and both of them at the top and the bottom. Oops. See, I can get a clearer picture of these inner numbers. So that would be Knox. That's not what I'm looking for, and it's just something I come up with. This is a little more closer, but you have your east and west, and then right straight up, right in the center, right above here would be Terra, and right straight across would be Knox. It had to be like in a maybe a 3D picture. Or a 3D blueprint. So as we move closer to the sun gets bigger, and the other side is a blind spot. So the farther back away from the sun, that reduces that blind spot. Can you do a recap on our 6-pole navigation or mapping?
So you're looking at using the 6-pole system for navigation or mapping purposes. That could involve rethinking traditional spatial relationships and how we move through space. Did you have any specific ideas on how the 6-pole system would change or improve navigation or mapping?
Any suggestions?
One possibility is that the six-pole system could allow for more precise location tracking or orientation in complex environments. It might also enable new ways to visualize and understand spatial relationships. You could also explore how the system would handle concepts like distance, direction, and orientation. Would you like to brainstorm more ideas on how to apply this system?
Yes.
Let's think about how the six-pole system would work in practice. For example, how would you determine the coordinates or position of an object in the system? Would each pole have its own axis or grid?
What do you think?
I think the six-pole system has potential for unique spatial representations. It could be useful in specific contexts like advanced navigation, theoretical physics, or even artistic expressions. The key would be defining how the poles interact and relate to each other. Maybe we can explore a specific application or scenario to make it more concrete.
Can you picture some blueprints?
Check it out. Anything you want to change?
Yes.
Check it out.
Can you recap our conversation?
We discussed a hypothetical six-pole system with north, south, east, west, Terra, and Nox as reference points. You mentioned applying this system to understanding or mapping the universe. We explored ideas on how this system could work, including potential applications in navigation and spatial relationships. I'd love to continue the conversation if you have more questions or ideas.
Can you picture it?
Here you go.
Looks like an observatory.
Did I capture what you were looking for?
How about a recap?
We were discussing a hypothetical six-pole system with north, south, east, west, Terra, and Nox. You were exploring ideas for navigation, mapping, and understanding the universe. We touched on potential applications in spatial relationships. If you'd like to dive deeper or explore a specific aspect, I'm here to help.
Can you explain spatial relationship?
Of course, spatial relationships refer to the way objects are positioned and related to each other in space. It involves understanding how things are connected, oriented, and interact with each other in terms of distance, direction, and movement. In the context of the six-pole system, spatial relationships would be crucial in defining how the poles interact and relate to each other. Does that make sense?
Yes, from a stationary position.
From a stationary position, spatial relationships would involve understanding the fixed relationships between objects or points in space, like the angles and distances between them. In the context of the six-pole system, it would mean defining how the poles relate to each other from a fixed point of reference. That could be an interesting framework for navigation or mapping.
Can you picture it?
Okay, take a look. Do you want me to imagine another one?
Can you picture it in 3D, the 6 poles?
Did I capture what you were looking for?
Interesting.
The six-pole system in 3 dimensions can be fascinating to visualize. The added dimension would create complex relationships between the poles. Would you like to explore how this system would work in a real-world application or theoretical scenario?
Can you picture it?
Can you see the image I shared?
Can you picture it theoretically?
Check it out. Anything you want to change?
Can you picture it using the moon as a whatever?
Okay, take a look. Do you want me to imagine another one?
Use a moon as having six pole axes. Or no axis.
How does this look? If you need anything else, just let me know.
Can you explain?
You were thinking about the moon having 6 poles, similar to the hypothetical system we discussed earlier. This could be an interesting way to reimagine the moon's geometry, or even create a fictional framework for understanding its structure. Would you like to explore this idea further, or see how it could apply to real-world lunar studies?
How about a fictional framework?
A fictional framework for the moon with 6 poles could be an intriguing concept. We could explore how this unique geometry affects the moon's properties, like its gravitational pull or phases. Maybe the 6 poles create distinct lunar regions with their own characteristics. What kind of story or world are you envisioning with this framework?
Can you picture it?
Check it out. Anything you want to change?
Another picture?
Check it out.
Another picture?
Take a peek. How do you feel about it?
Another?
Check it out.
Close.
It seems like you're looking for a specific visual representation of the 6-pole moon concept. Can you give me more details or describe what you're seeing in your mind? That might help me better understand what you're looking for.
There's only 2 poles that are axes, so the other 4 wouldn't be axes.
In our 6-pole,
Whatever.
Here you go.
So it's got phases of the moon. Can you recap our conversation?
We were discussing a hypothetical 6-pole system on the moon. You mentioned only 2 poles would be axis, and the other 4 would be different. I attempted to clarify and expand on the concept with you.
So the north and the south will be stationary axes, where the other 4 wouldn't be stationary.
So, one of the additional 4 points would be a stationary axis or platform, while the north and south poles remain the primary fixed access points. That could create an interesting dynamic between the different access points. What's the purpose of this stationary access point? Is it for research, transportation?
Can you recap?
We discussed a hypothetical lunar system with 6 poles. The north and south poles would be fixed access points. 4 additional points would serve different purposes, with one being a stationary axis or platform. You're exploring the design and functionality of the system.
So with a 6-point axis, what would you consider the center to be?
With a 6-point axis system, determining the center would depend on the specific geometry and configuration of the points. If the 6 points are evenly distributed, the center could be the lunar body's geometric center, or the point where the lines connecting the points intersect. This central point could potentially serve as a hub or a key reference point for the entire system.
Can you give it a name?
How about Lunaria? It sounds fitting for a central hub or reference point on the lunar surface. Or maybe Selene Nexus Selene, being the Greek goddess of the moon, and Nexus implying a connection or hub.
So Nexus?
Nexus it is? The term implies connection and hub, which could be fitting for a central point in a lunar access system. Does the idea of a nexus suggest any specific functions or purposes to you?
Just for measuring.
So the nexus would serve as a reference point for measuring distances, coordinates, or other metrics on the lunar surface. That makes sense. Providing a standard point of reference could be really useful for navigation and mapping.
So the moon is an example, so you can say it would be Earth too.
Right. If we're using the moon as a model, we could apply similar principles to Earth. A six-point access system on Earth would be quite different, given its larger size and existing infrastructure. What kind of applications or benefits do you think a system like this would have on Earth?
Just understanding the true definition of the east and west are not axes.
You're exploring how a six-point system might redefine or recontextualize our understanding of geographical directions and axes on a planetary body. That's an interesting perspective. Traditionally, east and west are defined by the Earth's rotation and are not fixed axes like the north and south poles. How do you think a six-point system would change our understanding of these directions?
Well, it's undetermined because
The
not.
concept is still undetermined because it's a hypothetical system, and we're still exploring its implications and potential configurations. There's no one right way to define the axes or directions in a six-point system. It's an open-ended question that depends on how we choose to design and implement the system.
Can you picture it?
Have a look and let me know what you think.
Another.
Here you go.
Another image.
Check it out. Anything you want to change?
Very good.
Glad you liked it. What
Can-
would you like to explore next? Want to dive deeper into the six-point system or move on to something else?
Can you picture it in 3D?
Okay, take a look. Do you want me to imagine another one?
No.
Let me try again. You're asking me to imagine or visualize something in 3D. I'd be happy to try and describe what I come up with. What's the object or scene you'd like me to visualize in 3D?
How about a recap?
We've been discussing a hypothetical six-point system potentially applied to the moon or Earth with a central nexus point. We explored ideas around access points, directions, and axes. If you'd like to focus on a specific aspect or move in a new direction, I'm here to help.
Thanks for your perspective.
You're welcome. It was interesting exploring ideas with you. If you want to brainstorm or discuss more concepts, feel free to start anytime. Have a great day.